good to have you all here. Doesn't matter what time you come on and join, but we're here because we want to learn more, and that's what really matters. First of all, let me just pull this down a little bit. This is bright light, bright light. There we go. Bring that brightness down a little bit for us all. So, welcome, by the way. Today I want to speak about something that actually touches almost every single life in one form or another. So, this is actually good and helpful for the awakened and those who are walking in a process of just life itself. And this touches on almost every life, to be honest. We're going to talk about gossip, rumors, half-truths, misunderstandings, people speaking behind your back, people twisting your name, people pretending to smile in front of you while saying something else when you are not there. And I want to go deeper than just the behavior itself. Because this is not only about gossip, this is about your energy. This is about your consciousness. This is about your peace. This is about whether you are going to give your life force to the noise of other people, or whether you are going to stand in your center and refuse to be pulled into a lower frequency game. And this is for the benefit of your body, your being, your health, and all things. Because you know something? Gossip is actually never just gossip. Okay, it is often insecurity dressed up in a conversation. It is often fear looking for somewhere to hide. And it is often pain being projected onto someone else. And it is often people trying to feel bigger by making someone else smaller. And if we are honest, we have all been around it. Some of us have been wounded by it. Some of us have been misunderstood by it. And some of us have lost opportunities, relationships, peace, and even years of our lives because of what was said behind our backs. And some of us, even as awakened people, even as conscious people, even people who know better, have still gotten caught up in it all. So let me begin here. Gossip is a trap, by the way. And the moment you react, you feed it completely. You're fueling it. And that is the first thing I want to actually have you understand. Gossip only gets power when you give it your attention, when you give it your time, your emotion, your defense, your panic, your need to explain yourself. The moment you start scrambling to prove who you are to people, committed to misunderstanding you, you've already been pulled into the trap and you're wasting your energy and time. And I know that is hard because the human heart, it wants to defend itself. The human mind, it wants to correct the story. The body wants to stand up and say, no, that's not who I am. That is not what happened. That is not the truth. But there are moments in life when the deepest power is not in the argument, not proving yourself to them. It's in the silence. See, silence is not weakness. Yo, how's it going, Guma? Silence is not weakness. Silence is actually surrender. Silence is not pretending it does not matter. Silence is mastery, to be honest. Silence is the place where you refuse to let someone else's disorder enter your spirit. Silence is the place where you stay above the fray and do not come down into the mud to wrestle with people who are committed to distortion. Because once you step into the mud, you become muddy too. And I want to say this very clearly. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every accusation deserves your energy. Not every false narrative deserves your reactions. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is to continue walking, continue creating, continue living in your truth. Continue being. And let time reveal what words cannot. May you be blessed too. Truth has a way of rising. It does not need to be forced. It does not need to be screamed, and it does not need to be defended in every room. See, truth rises, and the people who have been paying attention will eventually see it. Now, I want to speak from experience because this is not just theory for me, okay? Like I tell you guys, when I come on here and teach these things, it's because I've been walking through them myself and gone to the depths of some experiences and continuously always am. But I know what it's like to be misunderstood. And then I know what it's like to be spoken against. And I know what it is like to have someone with even massive amounts of influence can say something about you, and suddenly a whole world starts listening to them, to a version of you that is not even real, but because of who they are and where they stand, well, people listen. And if they speak it, it's got to be true. And that kind of thing can be devastating. It can affect your work. It can affect your name. It can affect your peace. It can affect your confidence. It can affect your ability to trust people. And it can make you question yourself. It can make you wonder whether you should fight harder, speak louder, explain more, defend more, prove more. But I learned something very important through the pain of that experience. And if you keep giving your power to the story others are telling about you, you will disappear inside their version of of reality. And that is exactly what gossip tries to do. It tries to replace your identity. It tries to define you outside your own knowing. And it tries to make noise louder than truth. And if you are not careful, you will start living as a reaction to other people's mouths instead of living from your own center. But I am telling you something. You know, your peace is too precious. How am I today, Morgan? I'm doing good. How are you doing today? Your peace is too precious for that. Your energy is too sacred for that. Your calling is too important for that. And your life is too brief for that. So what do we do when people are determined to speak wrongly about us? Well, we do not collapse. We do not become consumed. We do not chase every shadow. We return to silence. We return to our breath, and we return to our center. And we return to the place in us that knows who we are. Because there is a part of you that is untouched by rumor. There is a part of you that is untouched by projection. And there's a part of you that cannot be diminished by another person's ignorance. And that part of you is the deeper self. See, that part of you is the witness. And that part of you is the soul. And that part of you is the place where truth lives before anybody speaks about it. And when you learn to live from that place, gossip no longer has the same hold on you now, does it? No, either does the comments that mean absolutely nothing and wasted space. And let's go deeper. Why does gossip exist so strongly in human life anyways? Well, because human beings are social creatures. And we are wired to pay attention to belonging, status, rejection, and reputation. And the brain tracks these social dangers almost like physical danger. That is why being excluded can hurt so much. That is why a rumor can feel like an attack, and that is why words can cut deeper than a wound you can see. It's why words cut deeper than a knife at times. But psychology tells us that people often project what they cannot face in themselves. See, that's the thing. You got to understand this. If we learn not to even react to the gossip, and we just observe, what is going on is what they're saying is actually they are talking about themselves. Yeah. Because the thing is that no one can even see anything in another person unless it's them. They don't really truly know what's your inner being. And that's the real truth. You know? And that's why gossip, like, it often is a mirror. See, psychology even tells us that people often project what they cannot face in themselves. And they take their own confusion, shame, jealousy, fear, and pain, and then they place it outside of themselves and put it onto somebody else who's not even them. So literally when someone is speaking about someone else, they are listen and realize they are talking about themselves. These are all their things. Gossip becomes a safe way to discharge what they do not want to hold internally. And that is why gossip is often a mirror. Agree. Sometimes when people speak about others, they are revealing the parts of themselves they have not healed. Thanks for the rose, the flowers. Sometimes they are showing their own hunger for significance. And sometimes they are showing their own fear of being overlooked. And sometimes they are trying to control a world that feels uncertain to them. And sometimes, yes, sometimes it is just cruelty. They just got a target on you. But even then, the answer is not to become cruel back. You want to know what the answer is not to let their behavior become your identity whatsoever. The answer is not to descend into the same frequency. The answer is to remain rooted. Let's bring something into nature. Have you ever noticed, and you know I always bring things into nature because, like, I'm nature queen. I love nature. It's where I go to be. It's where I try to exist most of the time. But have you ever noticed that a tree does not sit there and argue with the wind? Go, yo, mother, let's go. The wind can be harsh. The wind can be unpredictable. It's going to slam up against that tree even, and the wind can knock branches around even. But the tree survives by fighting the wind. Not by fighting the wind. No. But by being rooted deeply enough to remain standing. That's the real thing. Thanks, Wolfpack. That is the teaching. The spiritual principle that is how I want you to live and how we all should be living is let the gossip blow by. See you later. Thank you for showing me yourself. All right. Let the rumor pass. Let the distortion move through the air like wind. But do not uproot yourself from your own center just because something is making noise around you. No. The rooted person is not controlled by the weather. The rooted person does not become the storm. The rooted person stays connected to the earth. And that brings to one of the deepest truths: stillness has power. And if the wind takes the tree that didn't have the deep roots, then that tree goes into the earth itself and becomes embedded in the earth itself. So then the tree, does it truly ever not become grounded and rooted if it becomes the ground itself? Sometimes it needs its uprooting. Living in nature, you learn a little further. Turn the next page. See, the world teaches us to react immediately. And the world teaches us to defend quickly. And the world teaches us to answer everything, justify everything, explain everything, and correct everything. But wisdom teaches something different. It teaches us that everything that happens, even in the storm, has something to teach. Wisdom teaches discernment, it teaches restraint, and it teaches timing. Wisdom teaches that there is a time to speak and a time to be silent. And sometimes silence says more than 1,000 words. Silence says, I know who I am. Silence says, I do not need to enter your confusion. Silence says, I will not trade my peace for your chaos. Silence says, I trust truth to reveal itself. Silence says, I am not available for every drama that goes knocking at my door and even thinks that it gets the right to enter. That kind of silence is not passivity, not at all. It is spiritual discipline. It is emotional maturity. It is self-command, and it is power. It's contained in the all. That's correct, right? Now let me bring you in philosophy, because the Stoics understood this. I mean, they understood that there are things outside of our control and things within our control. So why bother to control what is not in our control? We cannot control what others people say and what they believe or how they distort us. But we can control our character. We can control our response, and we can control our integrity, and we can control whether we become poisoned by what we cannot govern. And that is one of the oldest and strongest teachings in philosophy. Hey, do not waste yourself on what is not yours to command. Do not make your mind a prison for someone else's opinion. Do not make your peace dependent on public approval. Because if your peace dependent on public approval, then anyone with a mouth can steal your life away from you. And that is no way to live. You were not born to be managed by gossip. You were not born to be managed by rumors. You were not born to be managed by the moods of people who do not even know the whole truth. You were born to live from truth. You were born to stand in clarity, and you were born to create from your center. And you were born to be guided by something higher than the noise. Now I want to go even deeper. Let's go into the spiritual dimensions of this. Frank says, why aren't you a Christian yet? Because you know whether or not or what I believe or where I believe from this conversation. All right. Anyways, I'm not answering that because it's not what we're discussing. But let's go deeper. The Gnostic language, we can speak about the shadow matrix. We can speak about the false system that feed on separation, fear, image, and illusion. Gossip is one of the ways that a distorted world keeps people distracted from their own soul work. Instead of turning inward, people turn outward. Instead of asking what is happening in me, they ask what is happening with them. Instead of dealing with their own pain, they feed on someone else's story. And that is one of the greatest distractions of the age. See, the outer world keeps offering people endless material to discuss, judge, fear, and react to. Anyways, there we go. But the wicked person learns to become less available to that current. Sorry, dude, that cracks me up. The awkward person begins to ask better questions. For instance, what is this revealing in me? Where am I being invited to strengthen my silence? Where am I still needing outside approval? Where am I still too easily moved by people's perception? Where am I still living in reaction? You know, these are the questions that take us out of the trap. Because the real battle is not with gossip itself. The real battle is with the part of us that still wants to be controlled by it. And if you can master that, you become free. I'm going to get to your comments after this is done. Now let us talk about the energy of silence. See, silence gives you space to observe. Silence lets you see what is real, and silence separates from truth, from emotions, and silence lets you feel different between what is happening and what is being projected. And silence makes it possible to ask this: is this mine? Because not everything you feel is yours. Not every tension in the room belongs to you, and not every accusation deserves in your internal residence, and not every comment deserves your attention even. Not even every story needs to be carried in your body, you know? And some things you simply witness and release. See, that is wisdom. And I want to say something important here. Silence does not mean you do not care. Silence does not mean you are avoiding responsibility. Silence does not mean you have no voice. It means you have learned when your voice has value, and when your voice would only feed the machine. And see, there are times to speak clearly and directly, and there are times to set boundaries, and there are times to tell truth, and there are times to protect yourself. Just so aware, I'll get to your comments after, okay, everybody? I want to get through this. And there are times that when people are speaking too much, become a trap. Because if the person is not listening to truth, your explanations become entertainment now. If the person is committed to distortion, your defense becomes more material for distortion. See, and if the person wants your reaction becomes their reward. So the wiser path is not to give them even the time of day, not even to respond to comments or what they want. It's because it's what they want. And what they want is your energy. You know, they want your attention. They want your nervous system. And they want your peace. Do not give it away. Do not throw your pearls before swine. You know, I want to bring this in a story for a second. Hey, how's it going, Spirit? Now imagine a man walking through a village, okay, and he's carrying water, and every day he passes by same people, okay, same community. But one day he hears this comment that passes by. He hears this comment, and then he hears this comment, and it says, "That guy's a loser. He's so fake." He's just like, look at him. He's like pretending to do all these things. He doesn't even do anything. He's just like, he's none of these things he talks that's even being seen. No way. And they're doing all these talks about him, and they claimed who he claims to be, and then what his work absolutely means nothing. And at first, he kind of wants to stop. You know, and he wants to stop and get their attention and kind of say something and argue with every person. But he wants to explain his history, his motives, his heart, and his intentions even. Let them get to know him. But then he notices something. The people speaking are not even building. They're not even listening. They don't even give a crap. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting around wasting time and talking about other people. They're only consuming. They're not even carrying water, man. They're just like drinking other things. They're not even planting seeds. They're not even taking care of their bodies. They're not even making anything life-giving at all. They're just consuming and taking and making a bunch of noise. And he thought to himself, fuck that, I'm going to keep walking. And he just decided to keep carrying his water and keep serving and keep doing what he was doing. And over time, the village begins to notice who is actually nourishing life. They just suddenly realized they hadn't been around even for a little bit. And that how truth works is that truth is not only what you say. See, truth is what you live. Truth is what you build. Truth is what continues to stand when the noise stops going blah, 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 blah. And now let's talk about what to do internally when gossip actually reaches you. Yeah, energy, right? I'm going to get to all these comments after, I promise, so just hold on. Because some of what you're asking is going to be on here. And I'm going to speak it out. I made sure to write notes so I don't mess up and miss out on something. Because I do this in more than one place. But let's talk about what to do internally when gossip reaches you. First, just pause. Just take a stop moment. Sit back for a second. Go, okay, hang on. What's going on here? And do not answer right away, okay? Do not even let the first wave of your emotions become your actions, because let's face it, we know how intense they can be sometimes, and woo-wee, to focus on problems where they did. Well, yeah. Second, take a deep breath. Just come back to the body for a second. Come back to the present moment. And don't let that mind go on racing like it's on a roller coaster ride ahead into the imagination world or imagined outcomes. But just observe. Just take a time and ask yourself the deeper question. What am I really feeling right now? Ask yourself the thing, am I actually really feeling hurt, humiliated, angry, afraid, abandoned, or betrayed right now? But name it. Go ahead. Take that moment and just name it. And then fourth, discern it. Is this something I actually need to address? Is this something I can ignore? Is this something that needs a boundary rather than a debate? Because sometimes we do have to go and put our foot out and go, that's enough. This is just about this, and you're making it about this. Is this something that belongs to their journey more than mine? And then fifth is release it. It's not yours. Do not carry every story that happens and comes floating by your space. Do not internalize every projection that they make. Recognize they are just talking from their own crap. And do not allow your nervous system to become the storage room for other people's unresolved issues. And 6, return to your purpose. Go back to the work. Go back to your calling. Go back to your prayer. Go back to your body. And go back to your life. Because the best answer to distraction is devotion. The best answer to noise is focus. The best answer to false story is a true life. And now I want you to speak about why silence can feel so difficult. Silence can feel difficult because the ego wants confirmation. The ego wants vindication. The ego wants the last word. And the ego wants to win. The ego wants to show the world who is right, but the soul is not obsessed with winning. The soul is obsessed with alignment. The soul asks, what preserves my peace? What preserves my integrity? What preserves my clarity? What preserves my connection to truth? And that is higher question. And once you start living by the question, everything changes. You stop feeding energies that drain you. You stop entering rooms that require you to abandon yourself. I love the story of carrying luggage and it's not yours, so drop it, right? That's right. You stop entering rooms that require you to abandon yourself, and you stop performing for people who are not available to even know you. They don't even want to take the time to know you. And you stop explaining your soul to people who only want a target. And sometimes beautiful things. Sometimes. And something beautiful always happens, actually. Not sometimes. I was thinking about that. I'm like, wait, it's not sometimes. is that when we let go, something beautiful does happen. When we stop focusing on what everything that they're trying to project onto you, do you want to know what happens? Your life actually gets simpler. Your nervous system actually calms the fuck down. And your attention becomes sharper. It does give peace. And your spirit becomes lighter. Your boundaries become cleaner and your vision becomes clear. And your power comes back. And I want to bring this in deeper spiritual truth, because there is actually a difference between the seen and being known. The world often wants to be seen, okay? It wants visibility. It wants that performance, the image. It wants approval. But your soul wants to be known by truth, not by rumor. Yes. And when you live from that place, you do not need every person to understand you. You actually just don't give a shit anymore. You don't need every story to be corrected. And you do not need to perform your innocence. You know who you are. You know you're innocent. And the people who are meant to know you will know you by your fruit, by your presence, by your consistency, by your love, by your integrity, by your stillness. That is enough. Now, let us go into science for a moment. The nervous system cannot tell the difference between a physical threat and a social threat as cleanly as we think. That is why a rumor can create real stress, real tension, real sleeplessness, real pain. The body reacts as if something dangerous is happening. So when I say silence is powerful, I also mean that silence protects your biology. It keeps you from being hijacked by a story that is trying to steal your internal regulation. And when you are regulated, you think clearly. When you are regulated, you choose wisely. When you are regulated, you are less likely to be manipulated. And when you are regulated, you're less likely to even lash out. And when you're regulated, you can hear your own wisdom for once. So silence is not only a spiritual practice, it is great for your nervous system, and it helps your nervous system calm the heck down. And let's speak directly to the ones who have been wounded by gossip. I want you to know something. Let me tell you something. Okay? I've been there. And consistently it happens. But I found my ground. And what I'm teaching here today, I'm going to tell you, it brought peace. What people say about you is not final truth about you, okay? I want you to know that what people try to put on you is not even final truth about who you are. And what people misunderstand about you is not the truth. It's not the final truth about who you are. Your life is still speaking when you're just being. Your soul is still speaking by just being, and your actions are still speaking, and your path is still speaking. And in time, truth becomes visible. Lies fall. That does not mean every pain that it caused erase. I get it. It does not mean every wound disappears. I understand it. I lost close family members, friends, over gossip. Careers, over gossip. Meanwhile, the one who is gossiping, guys, when the truth finally rose, they spent many years behind bars and lost everything themselves. And the truth finally rose. See, in time, truth becomes visible. And sadly, sometimes it can take a long time. That does not mean every pain is erased at all. I had an uncle who spent 25 years in jail as an innocent man framed for something he never did. And they finally let him out and then gave him millions for it, but he passed away of cancer. So no, it doesn't mean every pain is erased. It does not mean every wound disappears. It does not mean the damage was small sometimes. It does not mean the betrayal was acceptable even. But it means that your life is bigger than their lives. And that is important. Because some of you have been carrying stories that were never yours to carry. And some of you have been trying to heal the image others created of you instead of healing your own heart. And I know what it's like. It took me so far into the wilderness, and that's why I'm always using nature as an example. Some of you have spent years trying to win the approval of people who were never going to understand you. And I'm here to tell you, release them. Release the need to be understood by everyone. Release the need to correct every mind. Release the need to rescue your reputation in every room. Stand in truth. Let your life speak. Let your peace speak. Let your work speak. Let your love speak. Let your consistency speak. That is enough. Now I want to talk about temptation to retaliate. Because when people lie, one of the first impulses is to expose them, embarrass them, fight them back, and make them feel pain they caused. And I understand that impulse. Oh, I do. But retaliation often keeps you connected to the same story as theirs and to their chaos. It keeps you energetically attached to the person, the wound, the scene, the offense. And sometimes the greatest victory is not to defeat them publicly, but to become so rooted in your own life that their access to your spirit disappears. That is the deeper freedom. Not that they stop talking. Not that every lie gets instantly corrected, but that you no longer live inside the emotional prison of their narrative. You're free. If they keep speaking, you are free even if they keep inventing. You are free even if they keep trying. Because their voice no longer governs your inner world. That is real strength. Let's put this in another perspective. In nature, there is a rhythm to things, okay? Seeds are planted in darkness. Roots grow underground. There are where no one can even see. And before there is even fruit, there is a hidden development. Before there is harvest, there is a silence. Does it mean the tree's not there? That means your season is being misunderstood may actually be a rooted building season. You may be growing deeper in a place no one can see. You may be developing strength, discernment, and maturity that would never have been formed in easier conditions. So do not despise the season. Do not think silence means nothing is happening. Something is happening. Your roots are going deeper. Your vision is becoming clearer. Your identity is becoming less dependent on applause. And your spirit is being trained to remain steady under pressure. And that is a gift. Now I want to speak about the difference between truth and reaction. Truth is clean. Reaction is messy. Truth is calm. Reaction is often desperate. Truth does not need to posture. Reaction does. Truth does not need to dominate. Reaction does. Truth stands. Reaction flails. And if you want to know whether you are operating from truth or reaction, ask yourself this simple question. Am I trying to be clear or am I trying to be right? Because clarity is higher intention than being right. And when you are committed to clarity, you speak only when needed. You rest when needed. You act when needed. You're not constantly proving. You are not constantly defending. You are not constantly collapsing into every story. You are living. And now I want to make it practical for your life. The next time gossip touches you, do this. Stop. Do not rush to answer. Feel your feet on the ground and take a breath. And stay quiet to yourself and say this quietly. I do not need to enter this frequency. And then ask yourself this question. Does this need a boundary or a conversation or a release? Take time and choose wisely. Then return to what really matters. That may be prayer. That may be work. That may be rest. It may be meditation. It may be even creating. That may even be loving your own family. That may be taking care of your body. But whatever it is, return to your life. Do not let the lesser thing swallow the greater thing. And now I want to speak to the ones who gossip. You guys ready? I want you to listen to this. The ones who gossip. Because if we are truly honest, we all need to look at ourselves too. Because we all do it. So all of us, let's look at ourselves right now. Sometimes the reason us people are so interested in everyone else's life is because they are avoiding their own. Okay? And sometimes gossip is easier than healing. But sometimes judgment is easier than self-examination. Sometimes talking about others is easier than facing your own pain, your own insecurities, your own emptiness. But let me put something straight. When you're gossiping, you're just identifying your issues. You're showing us all who you really are. Because what you talk about another is actually yourself. So if you're the one tempted to gossip, I suggest you pause for a moment and ask yourself this one question. What am I not facing in myself? What am I trying not to feel? What hole am I trying to fill with someone else's story? Why? I don't know myself well enough that I could project my stuff onto someone else, can't even see that it's mine. Because gossip may give you a moment of connection, but I'm going to tell you, it steals your depth. Oh my goodness, you got some connection with people because you decided to throw someone else out there. It may give you a sense of belonging for a second, but what it does is it weakens your integrity. It makes you someone who isn't trustworthy. It may make you feel powerful for a moment, but it reduces your soul. So walk away from it. Not only because it harms others, but because it harms you. And now I want to bring all of this together because silence is a spiritual technology. Silence is the place where you stop feeding the machine. And silence is the place where the soul reclaims its authority. And silence is the place where truth breathes. Silence is the place where you can hear what is real. And silence is a place where you become less available to distortion. Silence is a place where you remember what you are not, the opinion of others. Silence is the place where you stop performing and start being. Silence is the place where your energy returns to you. And when your energy returns to you, your soul, your life changes. You become more present, more clear, more grounded, more compassionate, more discerning, more powerful. Because true power is not loudness. True power is presence. True power is reaction. True power is command of self. True power is not dominating. True power is alignment. And when you walk in alignment, you do not need to carry every voice that speaks against you. Just keep walking. Just keep walking. Keep creating. You keep loving, you keep healing, you keep building, you keep serving, you keep becoming, and truth in time shows itself. So I want to close with this. You ready? Do not let gossip make you small at all. Don't even let it have your time of day. Do not let the noise of other people steal your peace or even come near your tent. do not let the false story become your prison. And do not trade your center for someone else's confusion. Stand still enough to remember who you are. Stand rooted enough to know, to outlast the wind. Stand clear enough to know what is yours and what is not. Stand silent enough to let truth rise, because truth does rise. And when it does, you do not need to fight for it. You only need to wake to have remained faithful in it. And that is the work. That is the path. That is the strength. That is the silence. That is the peace. And that's where we all need to live. All right, I'm going to get to comments. If they're unvaluable, I'm not going to make a comment on them. Oh my goodness. There's a lot of judgment that came out on here. I'm not even going to read those ones. Oh my goodness. They don't know anything about me. You must get baptized. What if I already was? I mean, I'm just saying. If everything that they're wanting from somebody here, it sounds like a ransom almost. Like, you must do this, or... Yeah, okay, but the funny thing is, I never said to have anything. But definitely not lost. Definitely know who I am. That's funny. This stuff's hilarious. It's not even, you're not even worth my time. I don't even need to explain anything to you. You're not even anyone that I know. Focus on problems, they did this. Blah, 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 instead of the solution. Exactly. It's now, right? Yeah. I love the story of the luggage. We read those ones. Go preach that. Thanks, girl. And it's past that. Oh, here we come with the Jesus stuff again. There's a few tier ones. Spreading joy. Oh, I don't even know what that... Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. All right, well, guys, it's been a good day. Peace and love. We'll see you tomorrow.